And while you're sitting down, I'd like to introduce Ian Barry from Evotec. Ian has been working actually with ChemAxon for several years and has actually given a number of talks on our behalf, actually. But this one I think is in particular going to be very interesting because he's actually talking about our new SharePoint technology and how they're implementing it at Evotec. So I'd like you guys to pay attention and look, and I really appreciate Ian coming over. It was your daughter's birthday last night, right?
Yesterday, yes.
So should we sing happy birthday to her? And well, we appreciate you making the trip. Thank you very much, and Ian.
Okay, right, well, thanks very much for inviting me to talk. As you'll see in the program, you've got to suffer me twice today, I'm afraid, because I couldn't make it yesterday. So what I'm going to talk about today is sort of more about SharePoint than Cheminformatics in SharePoint, because Tamas will give you a very good demonstration of the new stuff coming from ChemAxon there. But just a sort of general overview. So this is what I'm going to talk about, is what's the point, then a bit of out of the box, what I've managed to play with our SharePoint installation without any ChemAxon tools, and then sort of go through the sorts of things that we would like to do at Evotec. Have a look at some of the options, obviously not talking about any of them other than the ChemAxon one, and then a few conclusions. So at the UGM last year, Luc Boulard said SharePoint is the answer is SharePoint, but what is the question? And that's probably a very good view on what SharePoint is, and I probably shared that last year when I was looking at it. Since then, I've been on a few training courses, so I actually understand vaguely what SharePoint is, and I still don't know what the question is. So this is the official Microsoft bullshit slide, I guess. SharePoint is about sites, it's about composites, whatever they are. It's about insights, searching, content, and communities. It is all of those things. It allows you to do a lot of things. To me, as a developer, as a scientist, as whatever I class myself as, it's a platform for doing whatever you want. You can build stuff on top of SharePoint. You can make it do whatever you want it to do. So from that point of view, in its simplest form, it's an intranet. It's a web portal. You can have it on the extranet if you want. There are plenty of sites out there on the internet that are based on SharePoint. It can also be a document storage system, a document management system, so you can have version control on your Office documents, on your PDFs if you want. And you can enhance, it's better than a normal file system because it has metadata, whatever that is, but that's a way of describing the data you're storing. In its most complex form, it's anything you want. You can do anything in there that you could do in a standard web application. So if you use web applications for consuming web services, for accessing databases, for anything else like that, then you can do it in SharePoint if you really want to. There are some caveats in that, of course, because it's so powerful, or theoretically so powerful, you can get carried away very, very easily and get sort of sidelined down things. If you let your users have too much control, they will use it like a file system. They will put files everywhere. They will, put everything all over the place. So you can't then get many more benefits than just having it in a file system. Because you can search a file system quite happily. You can search SharePoint quite happily. So if you give it, you get SharePoint sprawl, I think is the word that they're using for it. So you just have to be careful. So if you are managing a SharePoint system, then define what its role is and try and stick to it. So this is what we're doing at Evotec. We've had a live site which was replacing our old intranet for about 1.5 months. So we're still fairly new in the SharePoint game. It took us about, I would say, 6 to 12 months to get it to that state. It was a lot more complex setting it up than we thought. And a lot of people out there who'll tell you they're SharePoint experts when they're actually not. So we're still developing, we're still coming up with new ideas about what it can be used for. Now that the chemists and the biologists have access to it, they're saying, oh, can it do this? Can it do this? I get almost daily emails from people saying, it'd be really great if I could just do this. And we're going to start using it to collaborate on all projects starting next month. So people in the UK, people in Germany and India, where our 3 sites are, or 3 main sites are, can then put a document in there instead of emailing these massive 20 meg PDFs across to each other or SD files or anything like that, they can put it in SharePoint and then access it at the other site almost immediately. Brilliant. We're not trashing our email system so much. We're also then going to make it available for our clients to access it so they can actually pull stuff out of their data from us, much like Project Place and all these other sharing platforms that they're out. Obviously, then we save the money that we're paying Project Place for doing all of that work as we do it in-house. Okay, so that's that out-of-the-box cheminformatics. So what can SharePoint do for chemistry people? It can handle lists of data, so if you've just got data. It can handle database, extract things from databases using standard SQL calls or calls to PL SQL. You can basically create your SQL query to extract the data out of there. So that means we can start using cartridge functions. You can create forms to query and filter lists of data from the data in lists and the database connections, again using the SQL and PL SQL to do the processing. That means you can start doing substructure queries. You can start doing your queries using the cartridge functions there. And you can also do simple calculations. So if you have an algorithm that you can produce in Excel, then you can produce that on a list based on that data. So we have a lot of cartridge-enabled databases, so we might start using that quite a lot. You can also show structures out of the box with a little help. So this is some data I cut and paste out of an SD file into a list, and then I tweaked it a little so that it went off to a Java servlet somewhere else on one of my other systems that then produced me an image based on the smiles or an ID or something like that. So it's a hack. But I'm showing structures within SharePoint without using JChem for SharePoint yet. So looking at what we really want to do, this is my wish list for Tamas, I guess. So he's hopefully he's done most, no, he won't have done, he might have done some of these. We want to be able to draw structures in lists, in libraries, in discussion groups. So we want to attach files to, here's a structure, here's some associated files with it. We want to have discussion groups with structures in. We want to have wikis, so we can describe some sort of the structure and some associated information about it on a project, for example. We want to be able to calculate properties in a column. We want to be able to name the structure automatically. We want to be able to plug in our own calculators. We've got some of our own calculators in there. We would like to be able to plug in some of our own calculators into the system as well. And that may be just standard SharePoint stuff. We want to be able to do structure searches in lists and libraries and our databases. May also want to do some visualization. Maybe we want to do, have some structures and things like that, and then draw some pretty graphs like some of the ones we've seen this morning from the data that we have in SharePoint, and view it within SharePoint so we can create reports for clients and for ourselves. Some of the use cases, these are some of the emails that I've had in from some of the people, the chemists and the biologists. It's like, find out how a compound was synthesized when a hit was found in a screening run, and then so basically that's doing a structure search through a lot of Word documents. So they produce Word documents as with the results in. Can we do structure searching within the Word documents? In one case, on one project, we have the UK office and the India office. They sit on a weekly meeting and they decide which compounds they're going to build next. So if they could pick from a SharePoint list and almost rate, I guess, the compound, or say, well, I'll choose that one and I'll choose that one, then it could go onto their task list, and then they can start manipulating, saying, yes, I've managed to achieve this, and then once it's done, they could do a concept of something like, I'm going to check this compound in because it's now done, here's the properties, the purity, and everything else like that we've got. This is, as I said before, saving the cost of using external e-rooms. If we've got it hosted internally, then the advantage are that Project Place and things like that aren't chemistry aware, but this one would be if we can, once we've got JChem for SharePoint. We also want to build knowledge centers for chemistry for particular targets. So we do a lot of work for our clients based on targets. So once we get some information about that, we often do a lot of information gathering based on a target that then doesn't go anywhere because the client chooses somebody else to work with or something like that. But we've got that knowledge, so if we can put that somewhere, then it becomes searchable and things like that, and that would be brilliant. Picking up stuff from existing documents would be great. for when we're writing new proposals. And obviously, because we're working for lots of people, then access control is always important. But also, the nice thing about it is it provides one place for everything. Okay, looking at some of the options available. You can do hacks. There is always a way of hacking things. So the one I showed just there before was an imaging servlet on a different system that we have, written in Java, and that was just calling out using URLs. You can have other document searching systems, and you can use your JPEG cartridge-enabled databases to do searches. So you can just not make that chemistry aware if you want. I wouldn't recommend it though, it's too much like hard work. There are other systems out there. I'm not going to talk about them, but what I found quite interesting that when I did a search for Cheminformatics and SharePoint, that the first page and a half all linked back to ChemAxon products, or the ChemAxon links, which was probably is quite good. But you can get iCentris and Pipeline Pilot for SharePoint. I don't think they're very good. Here's some screenshots. There will be a demo later, I think, Tamas. So maybe, and he will show better and more up-to-date screenshots. These are probably 6 months old, I think. So, in conclusion, I tried to make this quick so we can catch up some time. I want to change the quote that Luke did last year to the answer is SharePoint, probably. Now, what do you want to do? The thing is, there's a lot of potential there. Yes, it's another platform to develop on, but it's quite a good one, and a lot of people are adopting it. A lot of companies have it, so why not use it? Can I just have a quick show of hands? Who has got SharePoint? Who's using it at the moment? So there's a few. There's quite a few, and I think there'll be more people taking it on board over the coming years, because I think it's people like it because it's Microsoft and things like that, I think. So, it's a platform. Have a think what you can do with it. And that's it. So I said it was quick. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much.